And podcast with your hosts Kevin Arnold and Nick Paulus.
As soon as the Browns season ended, all the talk switched to what do they need to do to take the next steps to be a true championship contender. And boy, has Andrew Berry answered the call and then some, focusing on the defense. We will get into all of the Browns' offseason moves and be joined by a special guest, Matt Fontana from ESPN Cleveland, in just a little bit to talk about the Browns' offseason. And we will also look at UFC 260 with our man from Cleveland, Stipe Miocic, in the heavyweight bout against Francis Ngannou. And we'll end the show looking at our brackets and how busted they probably are for all of us. We'll get into all of that here in just a few moments, but you are tuned in to the Voice of the Land. Welcome, everyone that is tuned in live right now, or if you're watching on replay throughout the week, tuning into the audio as well. Welcome to another edition of the Voice of the Land. I am one of your hosts, Kevin Arnold. Alongside me, as always, my brother, Nick Paulus, and our producer extraordinaire behind that proverbial glass, Peter Tellep. We are a Big Play production, partnered with the Big Play Network, also partnered with LPV Productions. You can always tune into the show on our Twitter page at VTL_pod. Give us a follow there. We want to thank all of our new followers. We have really risen over the last few weeks. I guess Paulus, Twitter reached out to you with how many followers we were getting in a short amount of time that we had to re-sign in.
They did. They were a little skeptical, so we had to re-sign in. We had to get a new password. It was a whole lot of things, but thank you for everyone following us, and obviously we're going to follow you back. So
yep. Follow for a follow, we'll follow back, follow for a follow, basically, out there. So appreciate everybody tuning in there. You can also find us on Facebook at Voice of the Land. Hit the like button there. We'll go live on there. Or we're always on Big Play's Facebook page as well, or their YouTube page at Big Play Live. You want to tune in our YouTube page. I don't know that we've really done much with it recently, though.
The YouTube, you know what? We have started going away from that just because it's so much easier to do everything via Twitter and Facebook. And I mean, we're out there. We are. And we probably will start using YouTube a little bit more, as time goes on. YouTube is fantastic for like the little clips.
It is.
You're throwing those out there, getting the little, what are they called? The vignettes. Is that, so I'm surprised I got that one right. Shooting from the hip on that one. But yeah, no, that YouTube's fantastic for that sort of stuff. So maybe we'll start doing that again.
Yeah, maybe TikTok too,
If sponsors are open, we're open to that. So
phone lines, DMs open for some sponsors. You really want to see some TikTok.
And we have some potential sponsors, linking up with us, all, on the DL here for us right now. That'll come back to us a little bit later, but
as one of the big names in the industry says, no names, please.
No names, please.
No names, please. Don't want to steal it. I'll give credit. I will say his name, Tony Rizzo.
Thank you, Tony.
Thank you, Tony. But other than that, no names, please, for that. But you can follow us across the board on social media. Of course, reach out to us. You can tweet at us during the show or during the week, have sports conversations. Tweet at us directly. You want to talk to Paulus at CLE_Paulus and myself at Kevin7, because I always come through when it matters most in the clutch. And, of course, with Peter Tellep, LPV Productions can be found across all social media sites. As we said, you can always tune into the basically the podcast format, the audio format of the show on all your major podcast platforms. And we would be remiss if we didn't thank our sponsor for the show, the one we can name right now, DP Construction LLC. Reach out to them for all your concrete construction needs. Reach out to them by phone, 330-217-4999. That is 330-217-4999. Reach out to Tyler LaFrada directly by email, tylerlafrada@gmail.com, or hit up their Facebook page, DP Construction LLC. Send them a message, and they'll get you a quote for all those concrete projects you have to get done around the house. And Uncle Steve will come out, get that work done, and I'm sure Tyler will make sure he gets out there. And you can see all those beautiful pictures on Facebook.
Oh, Tyler will put him to work.
He puts him to work.
No doubt.
Does Tyler put himself to work?
Yeah. Tyler hops in. He hops one of his boots on. Every once in a while.
I just want to make sure that people know, because I think sometimes we really iterate the fact that Uncle Steve is does a lot of work. Like
Uncle
hands-on.
Steve does. You know what? Like, to be 100% real, because I used to work with Steve all the time. I was on his crew, and obviously Tyler and I, best friends growing up. So I've worked with Steve before. He is the hardest worker, pound for pound, the hardest worker in the entire world. No doubt about it. That dude, I mean, goes to bed, thinking about concrete. So like, if he's doing your driveway, patio piece, anything like that, you're in great hands. You absolutely are.
Great hands. So reach out to those guys, DP Construction LLC. And reminder, you want your Voice of Land gear, hit up voiceofland.com, drop down menu, hit up the shop, and you can get your t-shirts, your mugs, the hat, still in the works. I got the stimmy, but I had to kind of, like I said, save that money a little bit, putting that money towards good use.
Smart move.
Good use. So, we got a couple big shows coming up tonight, next week. We'll get into that towards the end of the show, kind of preview that moving forward, and then maybe a couple weeks off with the Easter holiday coming up, something we've kind of talked about. So, in April, there'll be new headgear for myself. So don't worry, that the hat is coming. I'm going to sport it. You want one, hit up the shop, voiceofland.com. But as we said, tonight we want to talk Browns, we want to talk UFC 260, and we will be joined at 7:15, just under 10 minutes here, by Matt Fontana from ESPN Cleveland. We want to get the conversation rolling, though, and really look at the Browns, because that is the hot topic right now in the city of Cleveland and everything Andrew Berry has done. You look at some of the moves that Andrew Berry has made. He's signed John Johnson III to a 3-year, $33.75 million deal. Also added cornerback depth with Troy Hill.
Yeah.
Both from the Rams defense, and a defense that was rated, I believe, was number 1.
It was number 1.
Number
total
1
defense, yeah.
Number 1 total defense in the NFL, and that secondary was on point for the Rams. Troy Hill, the cornerback, getting a 4-year, $24 million deal. Some other 1-year deals. Tack McKinley, formerly of the Atlanta Falcons. Anthony Walker of the Colts. Darius Leonard, who we think is their...
Raised him.
Who we think, like Darius Leonard, that's like the name you recognize from that defense. But him and a lot of Anthony Walker's teammates, they kind of shed light that Walker was more of the kind of the unsung hero and the leader in that locker room. So, and nothing but great things to say. They weren't prompted or anything to make the videos thanking him or anything.
I mean, Darius Leonard went on like a Twitter rant. I mean, it was like 5 different tweets of him going like, damn, the Browns got a good one. I can't believe he's gone. He's a true difference in the locker room. That's the type of people that we, the Browns, of all teams, the Cleveland Browns are bringing in, that sort of veteran leadership. Once again, what were you preaching?
Veteran leadership.
Veteran leadership, especially on that defensive side. I mean, that is such a key thing, because we loaded up the past couple of years offensively, and once again, you and I have talked about this, Super Bowl-bound offense, but it was a mediocre defense. Alongside Myles Garrett, top 3-5 pass rusher, in the league, and then you have Denzel on the back end. But you need there's 9 other spots on the defense, and we didn't have really anyone out there to really fill those gaps. And I mean, fantastic job so far.
You're getting veteran leadership, but young veteran leadership. Look at a guy like John Johnson.
Yeah.
The thing about him is not just that he's
27, 25, maybe something.
He's like 25 or 26, I think, going into this year. And the thing about him isn't just that he's a great safety. He was the vocal leader. He was the one calling out the plays for that Rams defense.
Right.
And someone that was had a lot of football IQ, and someone that a lot of the guys in that locker room while he was younger looked to for answers, and someone that was willing to, and he even said in his press conference, I'm willing to share what I've seen with others. And then those conversations just become more open in the locker room, and it just makes for a better culture. And so you're getting smart, talented, veteran leadership to continue adding to your culture, but also improving and adding depth to a defense that's sorely, sorely needed it last season. You can't stop Chad Henne on 3rd and 14. You know that. I think that. If Andrew Berry wasn't thinking defense already, that was the nail in the coffin.
Yeah, that's the nail in the coffin. That's exactly what it was.
That's what it was. So we'll kind of break down some of these, moves a little bit more specifically with Fontana here in just a little bit. But the question I want to pose out to everybody watching, whether, again, live or on replay or listening, and to both of you guys, is with these moves and kind of the praise that this team is getting nationally for how smart they are being, bringing these guys in, but also planning for their future as well for this upcoming season. What Andrew Berry has done, has that changed your expectation for what the 2021 Browns season is going to be, even this early in the offseason in March, when we haven't even gone through the draft yet?
Well, just a brief recap. I was checking out CBS NFL football here for us. They had the notable moves. Once again, all the people that you just reiterated: John Johnson, Tack McKinley, Troy Hill, Malik Jackson, re-signing Higgs, which, by the way, welcome back, Hollywood.
Yep.
I didn't think you were coming back because I knew that they were going to lowball you on that offer. It was a $2 million dollar deal, which last year, to be fair, it is a pay increase because he was only making $900,000 last.
But deserves more.
Absolutely, he at least triple. Don't you think he deserves at least $6 million a year?
I do, but this dude is so Cleveland that
I know
he's willing to keep coming back. Thank you, Andrew Berry. Thank you, Hollywood.
Yeah, God bless you, Hollywood, for coming back, because I guarantee he was getting way better deals on the open market out there. So congrats on him coming back. But once again, CBS Football came out and they said somehow they got Johnson, one of the top young safeties on the market, at great value. Finally, Cleveland has itself a playmaking leader in its back end of its secondary. Tack McKinley is just as fine of an upside flyer too. Hill helps solidify the secondary as well. They gave a grade scale. They gave us an A. So, and you know what? I'm going to be honest with you. I 100% agree with them, because I think that the way that we have this all set up right now, what's the one thing that we needed? Defense, and veteran leadership, at that as well. I just think it's such a great move, what Andrew Berry's been doing. Honestly, GM of the offseason, I know that there's a, GM of the year. We'll see how, the year goes for the Browns, but I originally said I wasn't sure if they could make it to the Super Bowl, because of that defense and everything like that. But with all of those pickups and potentially getting Greedy back, getting Grant Delpit, we're going to run that 3-deep safety look there for us, and we'll just have probably Grant playing like center field out there. That's awesome. I finally think that if we have a healthy year, and you can't predict injuries or anything like that, but I think if everyone's healthy and plays to their potential, this is without a doubt a top 2 team in the AFC at least.
Peter, your expectation, where was it before the new league year started and these signings started to come down the pipe, and where are they now? Have they changed?
Well, we talked about before, we obviously needed a lot of help on the defense.
Right.
And I'm very happy with what I've seen so far.
Sure.
But I'm kind of holding back because, while I'm happy, it goes to the title of the show, off-season, it looks great. I got to see these guys in the game because
it's fair,
but I really do like the moves they're making. And I think that we're getting to the point where this is exactly what we need. This is the kind of leadership we need from the front office. They're putting the right pieces in place, and I think we're really going to make it. I think we're really going to make a good run into the postseason next year. Yeah. And I'm crossing my fingers and trying not to get ahead of myself because it's easy.
Right.
Well, it's easy. It's easy to get a little too excited. So
yeah, that's what happened a couple of years ago. That there was so much off-season hype for this team, and we kind of really bought into it. Last year, we talked about how you got to prove it on the field. And I'm still there.
Yeah.
But the expectations have risen, and you can't just be happy with, oh, we finally made the playoffs, because that's gone. You've gotten rid of that, and it's time to move on.
Yep.
At this time, we do want to bring in our friend of show and mentor here, Matt Fontana, ESPN Cleveland Tonight, host of ESPN Cleveland Tonight, weeknights from 5 to 7 on ESPN Cleveland. Matt, how you doing tonight? Welcome to the show. Are those brackets busted for you?
It didn't matter. I didn't fill one out, so
Oh,
I had one. I think in our company pool that was for free. So if you've listened to the show, I hate March Madness. Brackets cause you more pain than they do happiness, and especially now when there's none left. There's not even a single perfect one left. It's as you can hear my dog in the background. His bracket's gone too. His is busted too. So yeah, it's nice when you don't have to worry about it, because I didn't have to worry about any money missing.
No, that's fantastic right there. I can guarantee you my bracket is done. I had Illinois as the champ. Yeah, right. Yeah, everyone's is gone. So I had Illinois, and then I think I had Ohio State going to like the Elite Eight. So
we all did. Yeah,
right.
That's the thing. Like, you're fried. So it's like, you're like, okay. And I think, the nice thing is the sentimental. We all had Ohio winning, so that was nice.
Yeah.
And you were like, okay, that's kind of a payoff. Cleveland State, not so much, but it was like, at least we got one. But yeah, brackets cause you more pain than they do happiness. That's a fact. And Janice from accounting, who had her grandkids fill it out, is going to win the company pool anyway. So it's like, it is what it is.
Choosing the colors and everything like that. Oh yeah, absolutely, no doubt.
Well, Duke didn't even make it, right. But it's like, Arizona was good like 10 years ago. I'm sure they're still good. Yeah.
Is Adam Morrison still with Gonzaga? Yeah, let's go with that. Yeah.
Fontana, have you heard the story of the one bracket pool I entered, like how I lost to a 7-year-old that year? Like I took second or third place. Yeah, because I entered basically two of my family friends. They always did like a family pool together, and one year they decided to let me join because I had no other bracket pool to join in it. And the 7-year-old, like the youngest one in one of the families, won because they just picked on color, like you were talking. Like,
yeah, right. Yeah, exactly. I mean, that's how it's going to go, because like I said, the frustrating thing is not necessarily that you lost, but then a lot of people out there legit like sat down and were like, all right, I'm going to look at these stats. I'm going to look, at this. I got to look, defensive this, offensive that.
Yeah.
It just didn't work.
That's this guy. That's me. I've tried to get away from that.
Deep dives and you still end up 5th out of 5. So that's how it always goes.
And that's the thing. And I get why that's March Madness, and everybody says like, oh, that's what I love about the tournament. And I trust me, I understand. Like I do believe that people enjoy that element of it.
Yeah.
But there is something where you're like, do you enjoy it, or does it cost you money? Because that's not an enjoyable part of it. So it's like,
that's a good point.
It could go either way, but
yeah.
You can't have it both ways. You can't have your bracket busted and be so happy that underdogs made it, and then also cost yourself a ton of money in the process.
No doubt.
Yeah, about a week away from turning that 30 corner, so I'm trying to get wiser in my ears.
There you go.
We are joined by Matt Fontana.
Bet the over. That's
yeah.
Smart thing to do. Bet the over.
Always bet the over. Matt Fontana, ESPN Cleveland, is joining us tonight. And Fontana, we are talking Browns first and their free agency. We'll get to UFC 260 in just a few moments. But the question we're kind of posing tonight is, with all of the moves Andrew Berry in this front office is making this offseason. Last offseason, they focused on the offense. We knew the defense was the question mark. They are focusing on it. They are trying to fill holes, at least add depth to this defense. Have your expectations at this point, from when the season ended looking at next season to right now looking at next season, have those expectations changed?
I think it's a great question, guys, because actually they haven't. I had about as high as expectations as I could have had as soon as the season ended. And the beautiful part about where the Browns are finally at, it's what we've always wanted. They could have rolled the footballs out the day that we lost to the Chiefs or the day the Super Bowl ended, and I would have felt good about that team going 10-6, 11-5. I know they're getting 17 games now, but I would have felt good about that team. You're finally at a point where the draft is a luxury. It's no more we have to find the savior quarterback. We've got to find this desperate need of a position. Yeah, don't get me wrong. John Johnson and Takk McKinley and the linebackers and Troy Hill, like they're going to play, big parts of that defense, and whoever we pick at 26 or whatever piece we add, it's nice because those are just like complementary pieces. Now you've got the structure of your team. You've got the corner pieces. You've got the players that you look at and you can say, these are the guys we're building around. So I would have felt good about this team no matter what. If they'd have done absolutely nothing, I would have felt really good about it. The fact that they went out, they didn't get better. They added some nice pieces, and they were strategic. I know it's kind of a buzzword when it comes to Andrew Berry, right? Strategy and analytics and all that kind of stuff. But I think really took some one-year flyers just like you did last year on Malik Jackson and obviously with Takk McKinley, but you were able to sign, John Johnson into a longer-term deal as you see, all right, this guy's for sure going to be a fit. And the one thing I'll say is, even at a position, like let's just take safety, for example. There's a lot of positions on this team that Andrew Berry helped with, but not really, extremely. Safety was one of the ones where he literally did draft Grant Delpit and traded for Ronnie Harrison, and he still said, I need to get better, or I still want to get better. And yeah, we're going to play a lot of 3 safety look, and we're going to be able to maybe only run the 2 linebackers, which I like, but that's the egolessness of him, just to say, even the position that I have the most direct impact on, I was still trying to get it better. I was still trying to get better people in here for our position. The fact that he gave Joe Woods even more options at linebacker to say, hey, find the best guy. And I think there's pros and cons of that. The cons is you don't have the guy that, all right, that guy's your starter. There's no questions asked. So that's bad where it's like, okay, you'd like that. But the good news is let Joe Woods pick the best guy, or the best 2 guys, or literally you could see 2 different linebackers on 3 different plays, depending on pass run, all that kind of stuff. So, this offseason was great, but, I'm with you guys. I think this offseason was nice, but it's like I was feeling confident on this team no matter what.
You sort of saw, these sort of things coming into play and everything like that. Yeah. They had money to spend everywhere like that. And once again, the one thing that we needed was defense above everything else.
Yes.
Matt, what is your favorite offseason move so far done by Andrew Berry?
I got to say the John Johnson, that's the big one that I would say. Takk McKinley, I'm okay on again.
I mean, they tried to pick him up like 5 times.
I know, right? First time's a charm, right? Eventually it'll work. I'm surprised that somebody didn't step in. Like, no, we had waiver priorities. It's like, no, waiver. No, it finally worked out. But the McKinley thing, I'm really kind of lowering those expectations for me. Where if he gets me double-digit sacks, that'd be outstanding. I'm going to look at it and say, can you take some pressure off Myles Garrett? My biggest thing is Myles is going to get double team, triple team, no matter what. So when you're one-on-one, try to get there. So like him, I'm okay, kind of lowering things. I got to tell you, I think it might be Troy Hill for the reason is, I like Greedy Williams. Do not get me wrong. The guy's coming off injury. He had a good rookie season, not amazing. And he hadn't played football last year. A lot of people are like, just pencil him back in with Denzel.
Right,
Let's go. Like that's a lot of well-wishing. Don't get me wrong. I hope he can get there, and I think he can be. But it's like you're putting a lot on that guy.
And you can say the same thing about Grant Delpit. Everyone's just pencil him as a starter. It's like, well, pump the brakes. The guy's never seen the field.
Right. He hasn't stepped foot on an NFL regular season field. So to go out and sign a guy like Hill, where you can say he can play in, he can play out, and to maybe even like slow things down for Grady, but like, hey man, you don't have to rush back. Whatever role we pick for you, just play that role. You'll be fine. We know you're attacking your rehab the best way that you can. But I guess that move much, like we talked about John Johnson, it's signifying that the team's not complacent. They're not just saying like, hey, we have this guy here, we're gonna just roll with this guy here. Like, no, we're gonna try to get better, and a little bit of that recruiting had to happen there. I don't think it's a coincidence that the 2 guys that played for the Rams all of a sudden found their way to the Browns.
And going off of that, the talk kind of going the offseason, a lot of us kind of giving opinions and everything, we thought that guy opposite of Myles Garrett was going to be the focus, or should be the focus of free agency. Now they've given 1-year deals to linebackers, defensive line help, but they've invested in the defensive backfield. Do you think that's more of kind of trying to get proven insurance in case the injury element still kind of hangs over their head? Or is there another reason that you feel Andrew Berry really wanted to invest this money more so in the defensive backfield now and possibly going with defensive line or linebacker help in the draft?
Yeah, I think it's got to be cash, guys. I mean, those Trey Hendrickson, I like people were trying to talk me into Carl Lawson on the show. And I was like, hey man, I don't know anything about Carl Lawson. I was like, I look at the stats and I was like, the first thing that jumped out to me with Lawson was the guy had 20 sacks in 4 NFL seasons. I was like, that's not great.
Yeah.
But then I heard, he had the quarterback hits and he had all this other kind of stuff. I'm like, okay, fine. But for $15 million a year or
Yeah.
16 or anything close to that, I was just like, not really. So I think what next level general managers do is they know when the waves come. It's a lot like the draft. Like, let's take the draft, for example. You know when a good D-line class is coming out. You know when there's going to be a really good wide receiver class like this year where it's just like stacked with wide receivers. I think they look at free agency that way and go, let's call it for what it is. This D-line class in the free agency class, not great. It really wasn't. I mean, you had J.J. Watt out there as a potential trade option. Trey Anderson had the one big year. And then, the pass rushers, which, Hassan Reddick is a linebacker, the Bud Dupree out there, all that kind of stuff. I don't think they necessarily fit what the Browns were looking for. So I think Andrew Berry did the smart thing. Hey, that's something we did need. The price was going to be too high. Let's, get McKinley here, but let's try to make some hay while we can. And I think the focus then will go back for that D-line, 4-3 defensive end. I think that locks it in, to be honest with you guys. I like Xavier Collins out of Tulsa as much as the next guy, but I think we're and the linebacker out of Notre Dame too. Like, I really think they were in play.
Yeah,
scratch that off. It's the end. It's got to be the end for this team for moving forward too. Because even then, Tack McKinley, he comes out and gets 10 sacks. He's going to be the next Trey Hendrickson signing a $15 million per year deal, and he'll be gone. So you got to get some depth over there. So I think that it comes from the draft, but I really think it was just, hey, these guys got paid. It wasn't necessarily the best. The class out there wasn't. I mean, I don't want to say the word, it was terrible. There were good names. I mean, there were some really good names. Bud Dupree's very, very good. There were some good names. They just got paid. And in a year where the salary cap is going to go down just this year, but it's gonna skyrocket the next 4 years after that. And he said the smart thing, like, hey, let's not shoehorn ourselves into a bad contract just for the sake of doing it. We'll address this somewhere else.
Now, Fontana, do you think that they're done? Before we get into UFC 260, do you think the Browns are? Do you think they're done? Because there's only
any money left.
There's only so much money.
That's the question every day, guys. Right? Like, it's I keep saying no, and then they sign Anthony Walker, and then I'm like, no, they're done. No, they get out and they get Greg Senate. Cody Parkey. I mean, I guess
Malik Jackson, right?
Yeah, every day I'm like, no, they're done. I'm with you, Nick. I think they're probably out of money at this point, but you never know. So I'm gonna say no, and then I guarantee that's the lock of the century is that tomorrow they will sign a guy.
Oh, no doubt.
Because I just said that I'm done.
Nick Chubb, 4 years, $60 million. Yeah, why not? Yeah, sure, let's do it.
Yeah, it's something like that, or like I one that I don't think a lot of people are talking about is the Wyatt Teller deal. I think there's a potential for that. Yeah. And in a situation, too, where I'm not trying to run Joel Bitonio out of town, but the fact is Bitonio only has he's only signed through 2022, so he's got 2 more seasons. Treader did sign that extension, but same thing. You're going to, and again, these guys are great. I'm not trying to rush them out. But you need to look to that next wave because Baker's going to be your quarterback for the next decade plus. Jedrick Wills is going to be here. Much more of that than Joel Bitonio. He's gonna, Nick Harris is probably gonna be here more than JC Treader doing that. So if they see Wyatt Teller as being as good as we all thought he was and is, that's a deal I'd sneakily kind of look at to see. And right now, guard, that's the crazy thing. I don't quote me on this, but I looked it up and I think it's something like Zach Martin is the highest paid guard out of Dallas, and he's making only 15, I was going to say,
isn't Quentin Nelson? He's going to get paid.
He's going to get paid. Yeah.
I want to get that contract in for Wyatt right before Quentin signs. So.
Don't let Nelson set the market. Kind of give your own market to Teller. Matt Fontana of ESPN Cleveland, host of ESPN Cleveland Tonight, joining us. And to switch gears to something I know that you are passionate about, and, of course, we have local flavor this coming Saturday, UFC 260, Stipe Miocic going up against Francis Ngannou. The second time these guys have met. The first time was back in 2018 when Miocic won in a unanimous decision. Of course, tail of the tape, Miocic 6'4", about 233, 80-inch reach. Ngannou is about the same height, but a few pounds heavier at 260 with a few inches reach, a little bit more, 83-inch reach is what I saw. what kind of chances do you give Miocic to kind of take this one? Is Ngannou more on a better streak coming into this one, or Miocic just too powerful, too good to kind of continue to retain that belt?
It's crazy to say, guys. I think this might be the hardest test of Stipe's career, and that's fighting Daniel Cormier twice. That's fighting, obviously, already beating Ngannou, beating Alistair Overeem. When you go back to that first fight, everybody said that Ngannou had a huge weakness and Stipe exploited it. Like, that's not taking it away from Stipe. That's the fight game. If you've got a weakness, an opponent's going to find it and exploit it. And that was Stipe took him down, got him tired. You talked about Ngannou's height, his 265. He has to cut to make, 265 because he's just jacked. I mean, he is just a specimen of a human being. But a lot of muscles means a lot of oxygen, and you got to go with that. And that's where Stipe beat him. And even that night when I watched that fight, that guy's going to be back. He's going to go to the drawing board. He's going to sit down with his people. He's going to find the best way. And that's exactly what happened. He's built himself back up and earned this title shot. So I'm excited, I'm sure, as Stipe is to face an even better version of Francis Ngannou. It's I think probably like you guys, I don't have kids yet, but I get nervous watching him fight. It's like my friend. It's like family out there where I legit I can barely watch the fights. I'm sitting there, I'm just like, no, especially last I'm just like, the last Cormier fight too, and he's just getting beat. I'm like, no, really, especially the second one when he was getting tagged and all of a sudden he knocks him out. It was incredible. But I also think we're at a big crossroads with that heavyweight division. I think you sit there, you got that Gon kid that's coming up. You've got Alexander Volkov. I mean, Derek Lewis, I love him. I don't know if the UFC does because he just keeps throwing a wrench into everything. I mean, he's still sitting at 3, knocks out Curtis Blades. He's already fought Volkov. Do you want him there? And then the elephant in the room is John Jones, and he's on Instagram walking around at 245, looking as jacked as ever and as quick as ever. So, what does the UFC want? They have a rooting interest in all of this. Did they want Stipe to win? Boom. Then you got your John Jones matchup. It's potentially the fight of the decade. It's one of the biggest fights, if not the biggest, in the UFC heavyweight division of all time. Bam. Ngannou wins. How can you give him John Jones and let Stipe not try to fight back for his belt, and especially in a trilogy match where they would have potentially each won one, but you can't keep John Jones on the sidelines. That guy moved up to heavyweight. I can almost guarantee you with a guarantee that he will fight for the title as his first one. Right. Too much money, too much stuff involved. So there's a lot that goes into it, and there's a lot on the line. And then the other thing is, how long does Stipe want to keep doing this? The guy's already established himself as the greatest heavyweight of all time. He's getting up there in age. We talk so much about how much he loves being a dad with his daughter and still being a firefighter. That guy's got other things, so I wonder how much longer this is going to go. So like I said, I'm nervous. It's not, I'm afraid that he's going to lose. I'm just like, that anxiousness to see it. I'm super bummed that the Ortega Volkanovski fight got canned because COVID. And that, honestly, like I said, I was looking forward to the Stipe fight anyway, but that on that card was money because Brian Ortega is one of my favorite fighters. I think he's going to be a champion one day. So to have that scrapped is sucks, but I'll still be locked in Saturday night, still waiting to see to Stipe getting it done. And like I said, as far as that recipe goes, it wouldn't shock me, guys, to be the complete 180. Last time he kept taking him down, wearing him out. This time wouldn't shock me if he picks him apart. Not necessarily like KOing him, but just on the outside, bam, 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 hitting him, and go from there.
Any other fight on the card? Because there's been several fights kind of scrapped from this card on UFC 260 due to COVID or injuries. Is there another fight that people should be looking out for, whether on the main card once the pay-per-view really gets going, or kind of some of those early fights that you catch on
the prelims?
The prelims on ESPN or even ESPN Plus for free?
I'm going to pull it up, guys, because I want to make sure I don't miss one. So obviously, Sugar Sean O'Malley is an up-and-coming kind of guy, and he's coming off injury. Woodley's had a fall. Vincent Luque is a really big one. He's an upcomer at welterweight. I would say probably the Woodley-Luque fight. It would have easily been the Volkanovski, Ortega fight because that would have been huge. But probably Woodley and Luque will be a good one too.
Matt, I'm going to get you out on here for this. You finally watched Justice League.
I did.
Now, there's no spoilers, but
that's a rule of the show.
And you know
that's
what?
a rule of the show.
Yeah, absolutely,
It's a good rule
absolutely. You and I'm sure we're going to talk about this tomorrow whenever I see you, but did it live up to your expectations?
You know, it did, and I don't say this negatively, but
Okay.
it didn't exceed my expectations either, which is
Fair.
fine because I had very high expectations for it. And sometimes it's actually better to just get your expectations met. And I think that's what happened with this. It had the elements I was looking for. It had the little, Easter eggs, the little kind of, wrap some things up. And you just saw what Snyder was trying to go for the whole time, which also kind of makes you sit there and say, like, what the hell was Joss Whedon doing? I mean, like,
Matt, I came in here fuming. I told him, I was like, I'm not going to say the things that I said, but I was like, Joss Whedon shouldn't be around a camera ever again. Like,
I mean,
never.
You see like how good this was. And it was almost like, you couldn't finish that. Like, you just couldn't easily take these little things and just be like, okay. And I know, the one thing I'll say to this, and I'm sure, like I said, we'll talk about it, Nick, and I'm actually gonna have a bat pod coming up this week to talk about it.
Nice.
Don't let Warner Brothers escape this too, because they got their hands deep into this, and they said, "No, we got to take this over, and we got to help, and all that." And there's been some things about the guy that runs Warner Brothers. People aren't happy about his direction and creative differences and all that kind of stuff. So, blame Joss Whedon, but we can also put a lot of blame on Warner Brothers. But hey, we got it. It's finally here. And now the countdown is on to Godzilla and Kong, which is what?
I can't wait.
10 days away.
Yeah, no, I thought it was coming out this week. No?
I thought the 31st. I could be wrong.
I think it's the 28th. I think it comes out. Yeah. So,
better.
hey, I mean,
even better.
Honestly, all for it. I can't wait for that. Who do you got in that one?
Well, I mean, obviously, I haven't seen it, so this isn't a spoiler alert. I'm going to go with they fight each other, and then eventually something else is going to show up. Everyone keeps saying Mechanic Godzilla. We'll see. And then they got to come together and join forces and then take out something. So that's what I'm hoping for. Nobody wants. I mean, I loved Civil War, the Avengers, one.
Right.
But again, nobody wants to see the good guys fight each other. Godzilla and Kong are both good, so you don't want to see them fight each other. But I'll watch because I heard the battleship destroyer scene's 28 minutes long. Just duking it out for 28 minutes for a half an hour. I'm in for that.
I'm all about Kong with the battle axe that he has, in the trailer.
Yeah. That's a spine off of Godzilla. That's where he gets it from. So
can't wait for that.
And I'm excited to see.
Fontana, since you're not my teacher anymore, you can't take credit away from me. I don't know that I'm going to get HBO.
I can talk to some people.
All right, well then I'm just not going to say that. Yeah, I'm looking forward to. I'll watch Justice League soon.
Need an HBO log?
Yeah.
HBO Max login. Now they're cutting down on Netflix logins, so I can only imagine HBO Max.
My family's going to be pissed.
How do you pick?
Right.
So it's like, obviously my wife and I have it, but then do I cut my nieces off? Probably not. That's a jerk thing to do. So then it's like, well, then their grandfather, my father-in-law might have to get cut off. And then it's just like, I don't know. I might have to there might have to be like a battle royale in the backyard or something. The winner gets the HBO login.
I already know I can cut my mom out because while we have a profile for her, she never uses it. We've shown her how to use these stuff all the time, and she's like the first one that can go because she just
thought you were just ruthless. Hitting her in the kneecaps or
I'm
something.
Glad you got it planned out anyway.
Right.
You thought about it. You're ready to go with it.
My mom always said, you got to go big. So do what you feel's right. So
there you go.
She wouldn't have a problem with it. But Fontana, we do appreciate you jumping on for a few moments here tonight. And we look forward to talking with you soon. And enjoy some time on the airwaves, and
absolutely,
hopefully the rest of this Browns off season we can have some fun with together as well.
Absolutely, looking forward to the fight. Appreciate you guys having me on. I'm always here for you, boys.
Thanks, Matt.
Thank you. That was Matt Fontana of ESPN Cleveland. He hosts ESPN Cleveland tonight as part of their new lineup from 5 to 7 with Michael Bohm as his producer on that show. You can catch him.
Great dude.
Great dude.
Yeah,
he
fantastic.
Really is. Like I said,
I was going to say he was your teacher.
He was
at OMS.
The only fun question I could have asked, but I didn't really want people to kind of get a behind the scenes. Like, how was I as a student, Matt? Like, let him know. Like, how
I think you did the right call by not doing that. Maybe
because knowing Fontana like I do, he would avoid the truth and really make me. He would really kind of. put me in the
Put you in the grinder. There you go.
Yeah. So, but a lot of good stuff with him there, and you gotta looking at the UFC 260 stuff with Stipe. We know that hometown boy. He's a big Browns fan. He's all about the area, Northeast Ohio.
I like that you call him the flavor of the town, which he absolutely is. I mean, he's the go-to dude.
He is. And it's just, that's what, at least in this area, there are diehard UFC fans like Fontana. You and I kind of, we watch when we can.
I'm starting to get into it a little bit. I have ESPN Plus, so, whenever it comes out on a Friday, Saturday nights, Kelly and I typically watch it, a little bit of it, then the main card starts, and then you got to pay the $65, pandemic time, boys. But we do have the stimmy, so maybe I can contact on that one. I'm definitely watching it this coming up week.
Yes,
no doubt in my mind, I'm definitely catching Stipe.
The $65 is worth it for Stipe.
But 100%. Yeah.
I mean, one interesting point that Fontana brought up though is Stipe was able to wear down Ngannou, and being so built as he is, he said it best. With all those muscles, you still got to be able to get oxygen. Stipe was able to kind of be a little bit faster, a little bit better in the cardio to kind of wear him down to then, kind of control so many rounds to have that unanimous decision. Both these guys usually knock people out. 20 of Stipe's 23 wins is by knockout. 11 of Ngannou's 15 wins by knockout. So two heavyweights that punch real hard.
And what's funny is, whenever they fought each other, it went the distance.
So it's like that. So you don't know what to expect, but, anything can really happen in this fight. I think Ngannou's one kind of adjustment from the last fight, I wonder if he upped his cardio or, kind of that, longer
the guy's
lasting.
Still 260, so if he has to cut down to whatever the weight amount is, I can't remember off the top of my head. But
do the heavyweights have a?
They do. I think it is like 265. I think is the amount there for him. So I'm sure that he probably had to cut down. Might even want to cut down even more than that. But we're going to find out here on Friday, I believe. So. But yeah, it's Stipe, and that's the one question. We didn't ask Matt, but does this fight affect his legacy going forward?
Right.
He's already pound for pound the greatest heavyweight fighter of all time. For UFC, at least in our mind. We're from Cleveland, so we're going to say that no matter what. But I truly do believe a lot of people feel that way as well. But so if he were to lose to Ngannou, and I'm not trying to throw any bad juju out there or anything like that, but if he were to lose, would that affect him? What do you think about that?
I don't think so, because he has the most title defenses consecutively with those three. No one was able to do more than two before Stipe was able to defend it then. And now, he lost it and was able to win it back from DC.
Yeah.
And been able to defend it. So I think this weekend would just add to his legacy. Just listening to the experts, he has been the greatest. He's kind of been seen as the greatest. But I don't know, it's one of those things where you kind of have to see how it plays out.
Yeah.
Because Ngannou has the hardest recorded punch in UFC history. So either he upped his cardio in case it has to go the distance, or he's just going to come out, and you've seen some of those fights end in like 10, 15 seconds because someone has this massive like Superman punch or jump off the cage. Something crazy. Right. He's either going for the knockout right away, or, there's going to be, if you see in that first round some strategy from both fighters, you could see one going at least 3 rounds.
Yeah. It's a heavyweight fight. You expect heavyweight blows.
Ooh,
you expect some haymakers being going down. Obviously, they're going to want to try and come out, hell's bells, just go all out for it. And then they'll probably get tired after that if they make it out of the round there for them. But it's going to be a real exciting fight. Obviously, we're all for Stipe. So I'm guaranteeing you right now we're going to send out the replay of this exact conversation probably Thursday, Friday here for us. But Stipe, obviously Cleveland's behind you.
We're ride or die with
100%.
Cleveland till we die. MGK, and he rocks to MGK when he comes out till I die. That's the one thing. Like, I always liked Stipe anyways.
Yeah.
But once I was able to actually have the money to pay for a fight and watch it, and hearing that as he comes out to that song.
Then he fights with Miles.
Yeah.
But he gets us. He is Cleveland.
He is Cleveland.
Yeah.
He's from here. He bleeds here, and he gives back to here. And, yeah, the UFC hasn't found a way to market him. Yeah, he's not this guy that's going to be on the mic or anything.
Yeah.
But he goes out there, professional, does his job, retains belts, gets wins, knocks people out, and it is going to be a heck of a fight. No matter what happens, we will always support you, Stipe, and good luck this weekend out there in Vegas at UFC 260. Kind of switching gears here. You know, we did talk Browns a little bit. Before we do switch gears, any kind of notes or kind of little tidbits that Fontana gave us there that you think kind of maybe change your perspective on what you've seen in free agency already? Because Fontana is one of those guys. He's in the pro football focus. He's got the analytical side. He's got the football side. Yeah. He's one of those like minds that like unsung minds football wise that people need to listen more to. Any little
Fontana knows what he's talking about.
Does.
He really does, and he's in with the people that know what they're talking about as well. And not just at the station, but all over.
Right.
I do like the fact that Matt's mindset, you know, even with all these free agent ads, hasn't changed his perspective of this Cleveland Browns team.
Right.
Going forward, he already knows, you know, we're going to be a playoff contender, you know, hopefully, you know, winning the division. That's like the number one thing that the Browns really need to focus on. You win that division, then you get the home playoff game. COVID is starting to go away. It's starting to decrease.
Yeah.
Hopefully that opens up the opportunity of having home playoff games, 50% capacity, full capacity. You know, one can dream there for us. But I think that, you know, him saying that his mindset hasn't changed sort of puts a little bit into my mind, because I've always thought, you know, we were one of the, you know, top contenders along with KC in the AFC. We're not the only team making moves. You know, like there's other guys out there that are doing a solid job at re-signing their free agents and getting free agents to come to them. Chris Oldak, Paw, you know, producer of the Really Big Show and Paw and Wild Colt, you know, host of that. He was saying about the Patriots. Now, Mike Rizzo and we gave him a lot of crap for that. And Chris, I'm sorry if you're listening here for us. I know that we gave you a lot of crap for that, but the Patriots have made some moves. They were 7-9 last year with terrible quarterback play.
Right.
Cam Newton just wasn't himself. And I honestly don't think that he's ever going to be himself again. But they've been making moves. So you see them, you see the Dolphins are a young up and coming team. They're going to do better. Carson Wentz is now with the Colts. I don't think Carson Wentz is God's greatest gift to earth, you know, like everyone thought he was in Philly a couple of years ago, but he is with the offensive coordinator, Frank Wright, who's now the head coach with the Colts. You could see them make a turnaround, you know, Darius Leonard-led defense. So there's a lot of other teams, not just KC and the Browns, who I think are great, but, you know, Buffalo was there. You know, if Josh Allen, you know, has more of a Josh Allen type day, maybe it's different, but.
Yeah, and it's, I mean, the title of our show today kind of says it all. The Browns have always been off-season darlings. They all but it never seems to have that football focus purpose.
Yeah.
This team was, when Andrew Berry and Paul DePodesta got back together, everybody thought like, oh, we're going back to analytics. That's like that's the trigger word here in Cleveland. That and process.
Yeah.
Those are like those two words.
Those are the words.
Those are the words. And I'm sure I just triggered a lot of people by even just saying them. And
people are flipping over chairs right now, flipping tables.
It's like,
you know,
WWE cage fight.
Cage match.
But like, I got to go home and watch some WWE because WrestleMania is coming up. I may have to.
Oh, is it?
I may have to give us a little preview the week we come back, because I think the week we're planning to come back, that's like the second day. They're going back to 2 days again, like they did last year.
Yeah.
Trying to have fans there, but not having too many, but giving enough fans a chance to be there. So, and since the card's so long and I always went to like 1 or 2 p.m. or 1 a.m., like, well, I never got sleep that night. That was ridiculous. So I'm glad they went to 2 nights. But for the Browns, you know, everybody thought it was going to be analytics.
Yeah.
But they've found a way to marry analytics with football moves, football focus. And that is the most important piece. Just like they want to marry the run with the pass, as Coach Stefanski says they have been able to marry so far analytics with football focus and having success on the field. And I guess if I were to answer the question, have my expectations changed? I'm glad Fontana said his haven't, because mine haven't. My expectations for this team, it's not, I won't say it's Super Bowl or bust.
Right.
But it's, you better be on the cusp, if not at least in that game.
So you're saying can I be free to say that Super Bowl contender?
Super Bowl contender
Okay.
is my expectation. It was before, and it is now, because I expected Andrew Berry to focus on the defense and make the moves. Now, maybe he's done more than I thought he would. Maybe
And I think that's fair. I think we all agree with that.
Fair to say he exceeded expectations, but it's what you come to expect in Andrew Berry. And maybe not every move is going to be great, and there's going to be sometimes that you can be critical of it.
Sure.
But he's done enough to trust him. I just want everybody to remember, even though you trust someone, you can still question some of their moves. You can still kind of have those conversations, work that all out, and try to. It's going to be difficult for Browns fans, and it's going to be difficult for me. I'm telling you right now. So I'm basically talking to myself into this camera right now. Temper the excitement. Make sure that while this offseason, all they really can do is talk and make moves. Like we said last year, the focus is going to be, don't just talk about it, be about it.
100% with you right there. Right before we wrap up and head to the NCAA stuff here for us, I do want to know, and you don't have to give me an exact number, but you did say Super Bowl contender. The Browns are a Super Bowl contender.
Right.
How many teams are in that contention? And we don't have to go through the entire league, but do you think like top 6, top 8?
Thinking, I was going to say 5 or 6.
Okay.
Yeah, I would say top 6, honestly.
So like Tampa Bay, KC,
Buffalo,
Green Bay. Would you put the Rams there? I mean, they just lost 2 of their. I mean, we snagged a couple of their starters on defense.
You take pieces away, and who knows what Stafford's going to be able to do. Like, as good of a quarterback as he is, he's towards the tail end of his career. They're investing everything in Matt Stafford, kind of one-off, get us there over these next 2 years.
And they're still
of the
paying like
contract.
$25 million to Jared Goff to play in Detroit. That's ridiculous, and that's the reason why they couldn't afford John Johnson or Troy Hill. That's the reason right there.
Right.
So,
but I may extend that to like top 8, because you still got to talk about the Ravens. AFC
AFC
North is a juggernaut in itself.
I know a lot of people say, well, if you make the playoffs, you're a Super Bowl contender. I get that. But like Chicago made the playoffs.
Right.
Do you view them as no, they just lucked in.
They were what we thought they were.
Exactly. They lucked themselves into it because the NFC, let's just be honest, was a crap show last year. I want to say worse, but we're on here. So
it's another rule of the show.
That is a rule. So let's hop into the NCAA, which is brackets have been busted and we're 3 days into it. So we still got another day of the second round. It's just
before I get into what we need to about the NCAA brackets, kind of picking teams and things like that, I wanted, on a serious note, just for a brief moment, I want to address 2 things. First off, the people going into the direct messages, the DMs of EJ Liddell, or any player or any public figure that you look up to, that you say you look up to, or that you say you root for, and to not either support them or tweet out your thoughts in a general sense, like, oh my gosh, I'm upset that Buckeyes lost. How can you not hit your free throws? You're the best in the Big Ten. Coach Holtman, what are you doing? Why aren't you putting these guys in better situations? CJ Walker, why are you going 0 of 7 towards the end of the game? But you go into one person or certain people's direct messages, and you take it to the extreme of death threats and more. And I'm not going to get into what was said because it is disgusting. It is deplorable. That is the terrible side of social media. I always say, and this is the reason I wanted to address this. I always say at the end of the show, don't let anyone ever tell you it's just a game. There's a reason I say that. It's because my family always said it's just a game, because I always was upset if my team lost. So I was really excited if my team won.
Sure.
Because sports means a lot to me. There's other people that are passionate about other things, art, dance, finance, whatever, something that you get very passionate about that matters a lot in life. But there's one thing that sports does not matter more than, and that is life. These guys, the reason why sports means a lot to me, it means a lot more to guys like EJ Liddell. He's trying to make a life out of basketball or use that platform to go into something else he's passionate about, just like all those other athletes. On the men's, women's side, doesn't matter. All the coaches, they are in it for more than just your entertainment. Yes, at the end of the day, it is entertainment. But their life matters more than you hiding behind some crap avatar picture, the egg on Twitter, just so that you can spew the hate that is truly in your heart. I pray for those that have that much hate in their heart that you're willing to do that. And the fact that Ohio State is looking into this and investigating, I hope they find these people and justice is served, because that is not acceptable. It should not happen. On the NCAA side, the differences between the men and the women, their resources in the bubble. You are putting these kids at risk. Already had VCU test positive already inside the bubble for COVID-19. So you have kind of cut them off from a lot of different things. They already get their names, money made off of that they don't see. All of that, all of those types of things, the corrupt NCAA, we're not going to get into right now. But the differences in the weight room, the food, the amenities, the swag bags. I'm glad that Oregon women's team brought this to light, and everybody's having a conversation about this, because there is a men's tournament and a women's tournament. It's not the NCAA tournament and the women's NCAA tournament. It's the men's and the women's NCAA tournaments. You got part one with the men, you got part two with the women. Both matter the same. And to only give them neoprene 80s jazzercise looking weights on a tree with a bunch of room still left and crap practice floors, unacceptable. And I'm glad people are doing something about it.
I'm glad that you brought that up, because I told you before the show, I thought it was a joke. I thought it was like a joke TikTok thing, that was going around. I had no idea. They showed all the guys stuff and all the girls stuff, and I was like, okay, it's funny because like it's so true in this society. But then they were like, no, this is real. Like this is real life. Like, and as soon as I saw that, I looked at my wife and I was like I was stunned. I was like, that's not right. Obviously, like that is hellaciously wrong.
Right.
And I couldn't believe like that actually happened. The swag bag that, the guys got compared to the women. I mean, the women got like a towel. They got like a towel and like the carry-on book bag thing. Like that was it. The guy's stuff was like all filled out on the bed. It's crazy the fact that this is still going on, and we say it almost on a weekly basis. I can't believe this happened, or I can't believe that happened, because I think you and I are both see it from the same light of like, why? Like, why is this stuff still happening? This is 2021. We need to be an evolved society. It's ridiculous. And then the EJ Liddell stuff. I mean, you can call out Chris Holtman's job. You can, like if you want to say that he's on the hot seat, or that you believe that he shouldn't be coaching because of the job that he's done and over the last couple of years of having subpar performances, not making it past the second round. Okay, I'll 100% with all of that. EJ Liddell probably had the greatest game of his life the other day. 23 points, I think 14 or 12 rebounds, something along the lines of that. Did he, did he miss a couple of shots? Did he turn the ball over? Sure, that happens.
But you can talk about those bad habits, but don't make it personal.
The fact, and some of the stuff that I saw that was out there, and I just want to wrap it up with this.
I just can't stop shaking my head.
I hope that Ohio State, the whoever's involved in this, if it's the FBI, because some of the stuff that they said was unbelievable. I hope that they find out who these guys were. I hope that they lose their jobs. I hope that their bosses see it and go, I don't want this here. Like, you say this stuff, like you kiss your mother with that mouth, like that. I don't want to see them ever succeed in life at that point in time, because if you type out that sort of, if you want to be the Twitter, troll warrior, keyboard warrior guy, go right ahead. But I hope you lose your job for saying all those hellacious things, and I hope bad things do happen to you. Like, I'm just being straight up honest with you. So there you go for that.
There's a reason why they hide behind those crappy
No doubt.
avatars, because they know that if they're found out by their job, because that's something that people look at now is social media, they will lose their job.
Yeah.
And if there's something that they need help with, seek the help, or if people around them that care about them notice something, get them the help they need. But that kind of stuff is not acceptable. As soon as you make it personal, these guys are giving guys and gals are giving their all in these sports, and they're trying to make a living for themselves, whether through the sport or using that sport as a platform to something else. And you cannot value life over anything else. Life is always at the top. One final thing before we go, to kind of end on a fun note here, and I've been making one of your buddies, Paulus, wait for this. I know that you know what you did, but I don't know that you know that I know what you did. So your buddy Mark hit me up in DMs. We're talking about DMs. This is kind of a fun way to do it. That a certain level of credits were placed on the Ohio State game, and then additionally on in regards to my Cleveland State Vikings as well. Peter, would you ever, if sports betting becomes allowed in Ohio, would you ever bet make a bet that involved being on or against the team that you rooted for?
Ooh, that would be very difficult.
But you'd have to think about it, wouldn't you?
If
the spread was so large that you knew you were going to win.
Well, that's the problem, because when you start talking about like the spreads, it's like, I might think my team's going to win, but not by the spreads. I can understand that.
Thank you.
But the problem with sports betting is you have to kind of separate that from your fandom. Is what it is.
Preach, Peter. I'm just going to let you talk.
And what you guys were talking about before with the the NCAA and everything, you want to know what the problem is right there is what we're talking about right now. Betting, it's money. That's why there's a difference between men and women's sports. The men brings in the money.
Sure.
But I have to say, I agree with you, Nick. I saw the picture of the weights.
Yeah.
I thought it was a joke.
The weight room?
Yeah. I thought that was just someone trying to be funny.
Yeah.
Because it's like, okay, I get,
They
get the swag bags and everyone wants it.
They gave him seven sets of weights and yoga mats.
That was that was ridiculous. I mean, I understand these companies, they want to get their stuff in front with the guys because it's going to be more people tune into that.
Yeah.
I mean, it just is the way it is. I hate to say it. When we did basketball, high school basketball, the boys basketball,
it's not
3 times the viewership.
I get that, but it's not right. And
I'm not saying it's right. I'm just saying, but that's the reality of it.
How did you turn me trying to have some fun with Paulus into another philosophical conversation?
You asked, and the thing is,
and that's fair. I understand everything's all about the money. Okay, we all agree with that, but the fact is, it's not right.
I'm not saying
if you want to bet on games, if you want to and I know where you're coming from.
That's going to make it worse, I think. I mean, if you think about it, why? Yeah, people they're invested in their teams.
Sure,
but think of the people that are so PO'd because they lost a lot of money. On that Ohio State game, and I'm not like I said, I'm not saying it's right. But I think the more you have sports betting and all that other stuff, it's just
of course the reason why the guys were calling him an MF and blankety blank is because they lost money.
Oh yeah,
or they're super fans, which just means that you're
they probably lost
idiot.
Money.
No doubt they probably lost money, but the thing is it's still not right. And it's not right about the women not getting a proper weight room or proper meals compared to the guys, and it's sure as hell isn't right to call out E.J. Liddell for once again having his best game ever in the NCAA tournament and reversing that on because he had a couple of turnovers. Like the guys that were hitting him up, calling him MFers and blankety blanks and everything like that, tell me that those guys are perfect, because I don't believe you. Like they go throughout their day, I guarantee you, screwing up on a consistent basis, and no one's going to call them a blankety blank.
Right.
It's
Too easy
wrong.
to hide behind the keyboard.
That's the point, though.
Yeah.
And that's, hey, it's easy to say stuff when you can say it.
Say it in your mama's basement 10,000 miles away. It's so much easier
no one's
to
going
do
to punch you in the face for it.
Well, and you know what? People need to get punched in the face every once in a while.
I think that would probably solve a lot of problems, honestly.
Wake-up calls
No doubt.
are needed, but, it's like you
Sorry,
said.
By the way, Mark is tuned in, so shout out Mark. Like I see him joined on Twitter. So
all right, give me 1 second, Mark.
Yeah, get back onto it.
1 second here, Mark. I do agree with you guys, though. It is, all of this stuff is unfair. It's for these, guys to hide behind keyboards or whatever, but also the differences in men's and women's sports. There's two things that kind of show what the reality is. First off, Coach Muffet McGraw of the Baylor women's program, who has built a powerhouse there at Baylor, her comments about the discrepancies basically said that what we've had to come to expect as women, as athletes, even as much as the NCAA doesn't take care of it. It is. And it's 2021. They should be expecting more. Everyone should be able to expect more and more opportunities because they work as hard for it, if not harder, and they should be able to expect it. The other one is, you look at the soccer program here in the U.S. Which one's better, men's or women's?
Oh, hands down, women's.
Women's has always been at the forefront of the world soccer picture and winning World Cups or contending for World Cups. Men have not gotten anywhere close. The current U.S. men's coach, Greg Berhalter, said these guys need to look to the women's team for inspiration and for a sense of what it truly means. Some of them are trying to say, the young guys are trying to say they're going to go win 2026, the World Cup in 2026. Mm-hmm. He's tempering expectations by saying, do you know how that's got to happen? Look to the women on the other side. They've been doing it. We haven't. We got to prove ourselves. They've already proven it. They are the better team, and yet they don't get the same amount of pay or anywhere even close. It's not fair, and it needs to change.
Right.
On a fun note, because we're going over like we always do, we always get in these philosophical conversations, and it's great. Love it.
Yeah.
We got to find a way to get that philosophical conversation off the top so we have the full hour to talk about them. But Mark wanted me to call you out for it because he said that
Of course he did, because he's... No. That was close. That was close.
We almost broke a rule of the show.
That was close.
There was a allegation that you don't know players on the team outside of EJ Liddell.
Yeah.
How many players can you name on that team?
I can name EJ Liddell and Washington. It was Dwayne Washington, right? Yeah. Chris Holtman. I know three guys. And once again, Ohio State basketball, that's not my calling, okay?
Yeah.
I root for them because it's Ohio State, and I root for them, just as I would if Ohio State made the Frozen Four, in hockey. If their team made it, I don't know any of the players, but I root for them, okay? I bet on Oral Roberts with the points, okay? I expected Ohio State to win. Okay, I had them in my Final Four. Okay,
well, some group messages would say that someone was very happy about earning some credits.
I made 17 credits, on a 20 credit limit.
Well, you were really excited about it. I don't know.
Of course, I doubled my credit limit. So of course I did. But then I made a parlay. And I lost all the money. So I made a parlay and I put that 17 on Cleveland State to lose by less than 20 points.
So it wasn't enough to jinx my Ohio State Buckeyes. You had to come after my Vikings? You had to come after my Vikings.
And I have Mark on here going, you rooted for them. You bet against them. Excuses. I have receipts. Mark, I also have receipts that I have OSU going to the Final Four. And I lost that.
So do I.
So, like, the point behind all of this is that I bet on Oral Roberts with 20 points. Okay.
Man, they got some dudes.
And they beat the Buckeyes by 3. I knew the Buckeyes were going to be in a close game. Like, I told Tyler that day, like, if you're going to place some credits down where you were at, go and place a 20 credit limit on Oral Roberts, because I knew that it would be a dogfight. Okay. Mm-hmm. I knew it, and I was right. My issue is I was a little too right. Okay. And that dogfight ended up going into overtime, and they couldn't score in overtime. Okay. If you want to call me a jinx, okay, like as I have Mark saying, Nick is the jinx king. If you want to call me a jinx, you know what? 100% that's on me. I even said last week, I made the Oral joke. I said, no, OSU isn't going to lose to a guy,
sounds like a guy that thought Ohio State was going to run away with it, didn't it?
That's what I'm saying. I thought Ohio State was going to win the game, not run away with it, but win the game within a 15.5-point limit.
Hey, if you can sleep at night saying you're a big Ohio State fan and yet you broke.
Nick prefers money over championships. You're a son of a bitch, Mark. That's what you are. That was a hard B on that one. You know what? Like,
know what else is a bitch? Karma. So it came back at you, and you lost your money.
Well played. And you know what?
If we're going with those words,
my whole point is that I voted that, I had Ohio State going to my Final Four. My bracket's busted. I had Illinois winning it all. I had Ohio State losing to Illinois in the Final Four. Guess what? That side of the bracket, done. Like, I've already lost money, credits to Mark.
Yeah.
So it doesn't even matter. You know what? Like, I didn't come away with anything, Mark. You're acting like I bet my house and mortgage on this game. I threw a $20 or 20 credit limit on everything. So why don't we just calm down with all these accusations? Next time he'll be betting against the Browns in the Super Bowl. Screw you. That would never happen. And unless the point spread is way too good.
Oh, my. He had to leave that door open. Well, you heard it here first, folks. That day that the Browns get in the Super Bowl and they lose, first person to look at as why. Nick Paulus, reach out to him at CLE_Paulus.
How about we get there first?
Let's get there first.
Let's get there first.
I said that I wanted March Madness back, and I didn't care if my bracket busted. All these teams like Loyola Chicago, Abilene Christian, Oral Roberts, they said, hey, Kevin, you want in March Madness?
Yep.
Hold my beer. I got it for you. And now I'm not so happy with my bracket. But at least I can sleep at night knowing I didn't place credits on teams that I root for. Thank you. And with that being said, that'll wrap it up for this edition of The Voice of the Land. Next week, we have a big show for you. May not be as long as a show, but we do have
a quick preview.
Going to be a quick preview of Major League Baseball's opening day, and a very special guest from the Cleveland Indians will join us. Who? You'll have to find out. We will give you guys. We'll send out a video.
What a tease!
What a tease! You'll have to tune in to find out. Maybe we will give a little promo video later this week. But a big show, a big guest coming on next week. We want to thank tonight Matt Fontana of ESPN Cleveland for joining us this evening. But for Matt Fontana out there with his dog Alvin and wife and everybody, and for my brother Nick Paulus, who bets on teams he roots for, our producer extraordinaire Peter Tellep, I am Kevin Arnold, reminding all of you, stay safe out there. For true reasons, don't let anyone ever tell you it's just a game, but value life over everything else. And we love you all, truly love you all, 3,000. We will see you all next week.
OH!